Hey, what's going on YouTube? Coming at you again with another review. Some of you guys might know I own a stump removal business here in Pittsburgh, and I just bought another grinder. This is a 2018 Rayco rg45 XR. I think the X stands for four-wheel drive and the R stands for remote controlled. But they're all going to be very similar to each other, whether you buy just the 45 or the 45X. So I just wanted to shoot a quick video here for you. I've been looking on YouTube, and boy, I've been having a real hard time finding any information about these grinders here. I know it's kind of a limited market, but there's a lot of guys out there who are interested in, picking one of these things up or something similar. I'll take you for a quick walk around. This here is a 45 horsepower, I think it's a Kubota. It's a Kubota diesel, turbo diesel. Game changer. I started off with a Rayco 1625, I think it was a 2000. Then I moved on to a Rayco 1635 Super Junior. And I loved that machine. Great little machines. I ended up buying another one of those, kept it as a backup, and I did a lot of stumps with those things. But we've been getting busier and, saving some money up. I was able to find this used, and I picked it up for a pretty good price. So we're just trying to step up a little bit, keep up with the times. Not going to get much better than this for a residential grinder. I've only got, I'm going to say, 10 hours running this machine so far. At first, it was a little bit hard to get used to, just with the controls. Nothing too difficult, just a few changes. I'll show you the remote control here. This is the one that it came with. So basically, you can control everything that is on this grinder with this remote. There's no wire. So we'll take you up here to the control panel. You can kind of see what's going on here. So basically, the way this works is if you get into a tight area and you want to use these controls, you still have that option. This machine also came with a shield that mounts right here. So you are protected and everything. I haven't ran into the situation where I'd need the shield right now, not to mention it's just kind of big and heavy and just saves a little bit of wear and tear on this. These are swing out controls. So I can pick this guy up here, swing this out, and give you a kind of a bird's eye view of what's going on at the cutter head here. Makes that nice and easy. We'll go over some of the controls here. So, standard 2-speed drive. Slow and fast. This here is for your plow or the side to side of the cutter head here. So the only time you need this on is if you're using this deck here. Otherwise, you have the control here for the plow and your side to side is right here. So that's that. Electronic push button. Engine idle, well, engine idle all the way down, push and hold. Then if you want to idle it up, you can stop it anywhere you want, keep going. Emergency stop, always a good thing. Never know what can happen. It's good to be able to just shut the machine off. This is your cutter head on and off. So pull it up for on, push it down for off. If you want to drive the machine forward, simply push that, backwards, left and right, cutter head down and up, and then swing left and right. Now, like I said, it does have the plow on it, so this does change to the blade. So if you want to run the blade, you simply push this, and the only way that this works is with these swing out controls out. So some of you guys might be wondering why it's like that. There's a safety switch right here. This here lifts up. That's what unlocks it. Swing it over, lock it into the hole, and then you can use the blade. And that also locks in for transport. Quick startup. Turn this key forward. Your lights will come on. It's going to check it. It goes through the engine things. When this light goes out, that's when you want to go to glow plugs. That's another little turn right here. You can see that little glow plug light. And then simply just turn it, and it starts. That's that. For the remote control, it's also pretty easy. Once you go through that sequence and you get the machine started, there's a button on the side here. You push that button, lights come on, and it lets you know when you are connected. And turn that off. Just kind of go over this remote real fast with you. So same thing, cutter head up and down. Engine speed, you can do basically the exact same thing that this does. You can bump it up a little bit if you want, or push it and hold it, and it'll go all the way to full RPM. Left and right of your cutter head. Forward and backward of the machine. Left and right on the steer wheels. Down and up on the blade. This here is a quick toggle switch for travel mode, so you have your slow and your fast. The only way to get this to work is if this is on the turtle. Just leave it there, and then you can adjust it back and forth depending on how you like that. This here is cutter head speed. So when you're going side to side, if you are in some real heavy wood and the machine is bogging, simply turn that down just a little bit, and that'll slow that down. Again, you have your shut off. Something's in the way or whatever. You have the machine. You have the way to disable the machine quickly and easy, right at your fingertips. This is how you would turn the PTO on for the cutter head itself. So basically, you can't just turn this on and it turn on. What you have to do is there's a button right here, the white button. So there's this button, and there's a side button for your power on your remote. You'll push and hold this button and turn this on. That will engage the cutter head. Then you can just let it go and let it do its thing and continue to operate. The nice thing that Rayco did for us here was they made it simple. So when you're working, you can have your hands here and here as you're cutting. If you're driving, you can have your hand here and here for driving. Nice thing is when you're cutting and you're ready to go back up and take another bite, simply lift up a little bit, bump it forward, and then you can continue to cut. You're normally using just these three buttons here. The remote itself is a pretty heavy duty remote. Takes, I believe, four AA batteries right here in this back panel. Of course, you have all your safety and caution warnings, letting you know, don't be stupid. These machines are dangerous and they can kill people. Comes with a little belt loop here, or a belt. Makes it a little bit easier so you can walk around and take your hands off the controls if you need to. So that's basically that. That's the remote and toggle switches. Now, if you don't have if you're interested in purchasing the Rayco 45 without a remote, they don't come with these little toggle switches. They get your standard levers. So you'll have levers here instead of the toggle switches. I'm not 100% sure that I like the toggle switch feature. You lose a little bit of the feeling. You can't go real nice and easy on it, and then, a little more if you need it or whatever. It's all or nothing, so you get used to just kind of bumping these if you need to slow her down or whatever you need to do. Like I said, 4-wheel drive. They got the big oversized tires on them, which really comes in handy when you're on, you know, wet lawns and whatnot. A lot of guys say that the tracks are better. Hey, it might be. I'm from Western Pennsylvania, where it's almost always wet, and I don't like to tear up people's yards. So these oversized rubber tires in the 4-wheel drive configuration works out pretty nicely. Just a quick thing here, you can see there's a drive motor on every one of these wheels, including the front. They each have their own drives, so that's that. Nice thing Rayco did on this machine here, they put this ring in here, and there's grease points the whole way around it. I think there's 4 total on this. The nice thing about this is whenever you're cutting, the head always stays flat. So you don't have to worry about that arc that a lot of machines cause it to do. And then as you get lower, it gets straighter, I guess. So you're always cutting it a straight, no angle, basically. You have your guard here. Nice thing about this is if you are working up against the house, it's pretty simple. You just pop this off. Normally you keep a ring on there, but as often as I'm cutting up against houses, I pull that off, and I can flip this up, and you can see it's not in the way. And of course, never do this while the cutter head's spinning. That's not a good idea. It's a good way to lose a foot or an arm or whatever. And then simply just snap this back into place. Working with one hand here, guys. Bear with me. Another cool thing is this arm that goes across the back here that attaches to that. As this cutter head goes up, this goes down. So it's always, it's kind of the, I'm going to say it's the better way of doing it. I've seen other brands and the way that they do theirs, and they're just so big and they're always in the way. This is not going to be in the way. It's hard to see right here, but that stump that you're grinding is way down here. You're not going to have to worry about up here. Normally, a lot of the other companies, theirs always stays low, so I see guys tying them up a lot. Real easy maintenance on these. Just like all the other Rayco stuff, they always make it easy for the guys to do maintenance on. Grease fittings everywhere. That's another good thing. I like to be able to grease stuff. There's your oil filter, nice and easy. Air filter, nice and easy. You fill your coolant here, right on the top there. Another nice little access port. Inside of here, they give you a few things too. You can pop this open. And hydraulic tank and your battery set up there. I'm guessing that's part of the remote control module. And then all of your other things are, you know, basically sitting right where you need them, nice and easy. It comes with a little pump here. This thing comes out, and so basically if the machine breaks, there's a sequence you can use this pump to disengage the drive wheels so that you can put it in like a free mode. So you can drive, you can pull it and get it onto a trailer. Kind of a handy tool to have there if something bad would ever happen. Then you have a wrench here. This wrench, just simply twist this off, pull the wrench out. And basically what this is for is to take your wheels off if you need to get into a gate or a tight area. So definitely a handy tool to have. I know I before would have to, you know, pull out my toolbox and get the wheels off of my other machines. We'll set that back down in there and tighten it back up. You got a pressure gauge set up right here. Close that. Oh, this is a good place to store the remote, or I don't ever store my remote in here. I didn't tell you guys that these remotes are not cheap. That remote there would probably run you about $4,500. $4,500 if you lose it, so do not lose that. I know I'm going to one of these days. It's just going to happen. Hour meter here. I didn't tell you this either. Here's a little safety strap, so when you are operating, if you have this tied to you and this pulls out, the machine will shut off. So nice little safety feature. I suggest everybody uses stuff like that. I know a lot of times you're in a hurry and you don't, but it's there. So this side here, flipped it open, fuel tank, little fuel gauge here. So far it's been super accurate. This machine's got 236 hours on it now. You have an inline fuel filter here, goes into another fuel filter here. Again, nice and easy to get to, no problems there. Close this up. Just a place to keep your manual, you know, your quick reference guide and whatnot. Just kind of showing you the lines here. Up here, there's another access port. Turn this off and just push it to the side. This opens up, and then you can get to your oil dipstick, check your oil, things like that. Little sight glass window here to see the coolant. Up inside of here is the motor itself. And surprisingly, they put this wee little tiny turbo on here, right there. It is small, but let me tell you guys, it really does the trick. This thing, when it gets boost and it gets into some stumps, you can't slow this machine down. I know it's only 45 horsepower, and that doesn't sound like a lot to you guys, but this thing puts out some power. Comes right off the motor onto a drive shaft. There's a little rubber things inside of this here to keep you from damaging it. I don't know what they call them, some sort of bumpers, whatnot, I don't know. That comes down here. This then turns the power directly from the motor right here onto this belt. Another poly chain, it's a big poly chain belt, so you only have one belt to worry about. And I know Rayco, they usually pick a very good company to supply their belts. The 1635s, I've always used the Mitsubishis, I think they called them. It's not Mitsubishi, don't get it confused, because I've done that a few times. But they're a poly chain belt, and they're pretty durable. There's been a couple times now where I've gotten into some pretty hard wood and the machine just shut off. That'll happen sometimes, but you know, you always want, I'd rather replace a $400 or $500 belt, maybe cheaper, I don't know, than to replace a broken gearbox or blow something apart in the motor, maybe bend a rod or something. So that's definitely a good thing to have. Like I said, being 45 horsepower, the nice thing is it's basically a direct drive. So from the motor to the cutter head, you're not losing any, you're not losing much power. I know a lot of units use the hydraulic cutter heads now, and I'm gonna put my money on it that you're losing a lot of power through that system. I've used them, I've used the rental grinders, and they just don't hold the power like a direct drive system would. I left one wheel off here just so you guys can see. The wheel's sitting right here, and basically the way this thing's shaped, you just line that shape up, you'll put that on, and you have one bolt, and it connects right there in the center. So it's really a very easy setup, and like I said, you got the tool, so you lift the machine up and 2 bolts and it's out. This machine is plenty powerful enough to pick itself up. You can see I have the back wheels up right there. All you got to do is just, you know, lower the cutter head and it'll pick itself up. That also comes in handy, you know, with the blade. You get into some mud or chips, you know, muddy chips and everything, and these wheels, they're tight now. Before they used to have a gap. Well, as you can see, they're tight. There's no way to get debris and whatnot in there, so you don't have to worry about cleaning that out all the time. Excuse me, I'm just getting over a cold. But I know a lot of guys are interested in this machine, and there isn't a whole lot of information out there. So I figured I'd just do a quick walk around and, you know, show you guys what it's about. You know, if you have any questions, as always, just shoot me an email or drop a message on YouTube, and I'll do my best to answer it for you. I don't work for Rayco. I don't sell Raycos. I don't do anything like that. I'm a one guy operation, and this is what we run. This is the business end right here. Things that I can say that I really like about this machine, and what the main reasons why I purchased it was the weight. It's not as heavy as a lot of these bigger track grinders. This one here weighs, I believe, 2,700 pounds. There should be a tag on here somewhere. Yep, there's a tag right here, 2,780 pounds. So it is light. I did get the trailer with this. That's another very nice feature. You pull this thing right up onto the trailer. You basically back it onto the trailer. And this pin setup right here, you'll pull this right in. You can't miss it. It goes right in every time. Drop a pin down into it. The machine is now locked onto the trailer. It's not going anywhere. On the back side of the trailer, there's a chain that's on the deck or on the floor, and that lifts up, and there's a little hole right there. You can see that. That chain will connect to that. You'll lift this up to take the tension off of it, and this machine's not going anywhere. Definitely a big game changer for me was that blade, or some people call it a plow. Saves you from doing a lot of raking. I know my other machines, I've spent so many hours raking, and that thing there, as wide as it is, it'll push anything I need it to. It's as wide as the front wheels as they're extended out. Another nice thing about that is these pins here. It's an adjustable plow, so basically all you do is you'll pull this pin and the pin over there, slide this forward and drop the pin into that hole there. So now this thing will be sitting like that, so you can squeeze through your gates, no worries there. You can angle it if you need to. If you need to, just pull this one out here so that you're pushing the chips this way and you don't have to worry about windrows on one side or the other. Another game-changing feature for me was definitely the remote. I say if you have the money, buy it. It's so nice to be able to walk around the machine and get yourself out of the dust and the chips always getting thrown at you. My ankles and shins will prove the time that I've had on the old machines. I don't think I have to worry about that anymore. Rayco's always been a very good company to me. They never not have an answer for you. Anytime you need anything, they are there to help. Any part that you need, I've never had to wait for it. Their shipping is extremely fast, and if you live anywhere near Wooster, Ohio, or any of their stores, they stock almost everything that you'd ever need. There's been times where I can't wait, so I drive over to Wooster, and it's there. No questions asked. I've never not had something that I needed. I've ran lots of other equipment, and so far these Raycos, they're overbuilt. Everything on this thing is steel. You can't go wrong with something like that. You know, we got to depend on these machines, and they know it. They come with a heavy price tag, but with the price tag, you get, you know, what you pay for. You can see here how thick this steel is. I don't think it needed to be that thick, but I'm glad it is, because that's something else I'm not going to have to replace. I mean, even just this guard here, you can see how thick this steel is. So, maybe something I don't like are the chip guards. They're not bad. This one up front here, it tends to get caught up in the wheels a little bit. It's never ripped off or anything like that, so it's just, I don't know. It's not the greatest, I guess, but for what it is, it's good. They did put excuse me, steel underneath of here, whereas before the drives were kind of open to the cutter wheel throwing stuff all over the drives, where now you don't really have to worry about that too much. They are underneath of there and they do catch some debris, but not as much as the older machines did. This machine has changed not a whole lot, I'd say. The big thing is with the 45s, they definitely did a little bit of a change to the back here, but I think they started with the plastic hood, but everything else was basically the same. They used to run a chain up here, and the chain just didn't work nearly as good. It's just non-stop adjusting, and don't get me wrong, it was still a good setup, but they made this a little bit more, I'm going to say they made it better with less maintenance, and it's cheaper and easier to fix. But other than that, they're all mostly the same. I think they all ran the same engine. But so far, so good. It's been a good machine. I'll keep you guys updated. Again, if you have any other questions, don't hesitate. Let me know. I'll get you an answer. Oh, another thing I like. This here, you can pull this off and clean this chute out if you ever need to. Other companies need to take note of that. Nothing worse than laying down and trying to shove something up into this chute to clean this thing out. That's a giant pain. But that's that. That's the Rayco rg45 XR. Let me know if you guys need anything.